This guy is literally using water to blackmail the people of Iran. The most basic need to survive, he's using that. These these people, they're something is wrong here. And truth of the matter is, a lot of Americans are waking up to it. Look at this video, and I'm gonna end it off with that. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to go ahead and say that I'm pissed. This is my second time taking this, recording this video. The video is about how I got red pilled when it comes to the state of Israel. I recorded a 24-minute video, and a lot of information was given on there, and all along it wasn't recording, and I'm pretty pissed off about that. But that's a different topic in of itself. The reason why I went ahead and talked about this topic is because, you know, I'm pretty sure you guys have noticed I talk a lot about Israel and so on and so forth, and obviously with the war that's going on in the Middle East right now, it pretty much red pilled, I would say, about 70 to 80% of the population of America. With that being said, so 1913, that's kind of where I want to start. Obviously, the history go far back, but I want to start in 1913 because this right here is the stepping stone that put America in the position that it's in today. 1913 was pretty much the beginning of the creation of a superpower called America. Federal Reserve, IRS, Rockefeller Foundation, American Cancer Society, ADL, and Wittenberg. Next, we understand after the file was released that Israel had, they had something to do with the assassination of JFK. It wasn't just Mossad. The reason why JFK was assassinated, a lot of people will probably tell you, is because he made a lot of enemies and the mafia were after him and so on and so forth. Yes, these are true. These are true. But the main reason, in my personal opinion, as to why JFK got assassinated is because JFK was giving this man right here, David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, a very, very hard time. So much so that Ben-Gurion decided to step down. Now, what did he give him a hard time for? See, the state of Israel, they understood from the beginning that in order for them to survive in a hostile land that they went ahead and stole, is that they needed to become the only superpower in that area. How would they go about doing that? They were stealing equipment from America to start building a nuclear bomb in the Middle East. And the reason we know about this is because there was a man by the name of Mordecai Vanunu, who went into Israel and took pictures and wanted to go ahead and expose what was really going on in the Middle East. And obviously the person that he went to if I'm not wrong, it was Robert Maxwell, the father of, you guessed it, Ghislaine Maxwell. So he went to him, right, because he had power to publish the picture that he took in Israel of a nuclear site that was happening over there. Again, we understand that Maxwell was working for the state of Israel, and so that's why it wasn't such widespread information until today. And now more and more people are starting to know about it. So that was one of the reasons why he got assassinated. It's because they were building a nuke, and he wanted to go ahead and inspect to make sure that they were not building any nuke. And so much pressure was coming down on Ben-Gurion that he actually stepped down. To this day, a lot of people don't know exactly why he stepped down. He just, out of the blue, he just stepped down. Later, he got assassinated. And after he got assassinated, miraculously, there was a man by the name of Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon B. Johnson. Yeah. When this guy stepped into office, Israel became rich when it comes to weapons that were being imported into Israel. This guy went ahead and lifted so much sanction and just flooded Israel with weapons and stuff like that. And this guy also took role in supporting Israel when it comes to annexing the Palestinians from their home and so on and so forth. And this was my next topic right here. This was what I pretty much talked about the fact that they went ahead and stole uranium and stuff like that to go ahead and start their weapon of mass destruction. And to this day, we understand that they have a nuclear bomb. It's not a secret. Come on. You can't have control over America and then not have a bomb of your own. Like I said, they wanted to be the only superpower in that region. for a specific reason, because they understand that without this, we are a sitting duck. And all these people in this area, they don't want us here. And it's not because, I mean, they make it seem like it's because, oh, they're Jewish. That's not the reason why. They're white. That's not the reason why. We'll get to that later. Next, USS Liberty. The infamous USS Liberty. Now, when this incident happened, the people who survived the USS Liberty they were told to shut the hell up. They were threatened. They said, hey, FYI, once you leave this office and you open your mouth to anybody, just understand that we will do things that are unspeakable to you, such as, yeah. So that's what happened with the USS Liberty. Who was behind the USS Liberty attack? It was Israel. Now they came out talking about, oh, we're sorry, we didn't know, yada, yada, yada. They knew. I posted a video of one of the survivors of the USS Liberty, and he went over the whole situation. What happened was Israel came. They saw the plane. They flew around, and then they left. And then later, an unmarked plane, they came, and then they attacked the ship. The planes were unmarked. That's already a war crime right there. They wanted to sink it. Why did they want to sink it? Because they wanted to drag America into war with Egypt. That's what they wanted to do. But the people survived, and they were able to tell the story. And obviously World War III did not start then because they failed in sinking the ship. That's the history of the USS Liberty right there, ladies and gentlemen. This history right here was buried for so long because, like I said, the people who survived it, well, they were threatened. Next, I'm sure many of you guys probably know who this guy is. Larry Silverstein. This guy right here is the owner of, that's right, the Twin Towers, ladies and gentlemen. He owned it. Now, they wanted to get rid of the Twin Tower. They didn't know how to get rid of the Twin Tower. I heard the Twin Tower was actually poorly built and it was actually costing them more money than actually profiting from it. So they wanted to come up with a way to get rid of it. And the best way that they could do that was, hey, you guessed it, 9/11. This guy was known to be somebody who was notorious for being on time. He was somebody who was constantly on time at work. He was never late. He was always at work. But miraculously, the one day he decided to say, you know what? I'm not feeling well. I'm not going to go to work today. Lord behold, 9/11 happened. 9/11 took place. Very tragic day, ladies and gentlemen. I feel bad for all the people whose life were lost on that day. Now, what does this have to do with Israel? You guys have heard of the dancing Israelis, right? Yeah, so there were 5. Some said there were 7. But I think 5 of them were the one that were, I'm not sure. But all in all, they were dancing Israelis. And these guys went ahead and posted themselves on a building to record the 9/11 event happening. My question is, how did they know it was happening? They were Israelis, by the way. And when they got caught, if I'm not wrong, it took about 75 days or so. And then they got they were extradited back to Israel. And then they went on to the interview and they told us they told us that we were there to, you know, record the event. We wanted the Americans to see how it feels to be an Israelis. That was their own word. And here's even more cherry on the cake, or whatever you want to call that term. Here's more cherry on the cake. So after 9/11, now this right here has kind of been scrapped off the internet. You won't really hear much about it for a good reason, because, you know, Israel's the greatest ally. One of the best friends that we have in the Middle East. Oh, where would America be today without Israel? We are drowning in blessing, ladies and gentlemen. So after 9/11 happened, right, Benjamin Netanyahu decided to go and, open his big mouth and said, we are benefiting from one thing, and that is the attack on the Twin Tower and the Pentagon and American struggle in Iraq. Wow. Really? One of our best friends, a prime minister, would say something like that to such a huge event that happened in America? Our greatest ally? He said he's benefiting from our suffering. Wow. I mean, what can I say? And then, of course, after this happened, they decided to attack the Middle East. We understand that the Middle East has been completely destabilized. And here's the reason why.
11. About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess."
So the fact that he's saying there's nothing new, which means that they perhaps have not yet shown the, passport that they found at the crash site after the attack on 9/11.
It's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments. And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran." I said, "Is it classified?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Well, don't show it to me."
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. So my question to you guys is this. Okay? My question is this. Now, you be the judge. Sudan, Egypt, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Yemen. These are all the places that, I wouldn't say Egypt, but these are all the places that has been bombed by America. Okay? Who is this benefiting? Again, I just want to go ahead and say, we are benefiting from one thing, and that is the attack on the Twin Tower and Pentagon and American struggle in Iraq. I don't need to say who's benefiting. That person said it themselves. So these are the things that are red pilling me. Okay, these are the things that I looked into, and I'm like, God damn it, bro. Why is the American people still supporting this state? Next, you're probably wondering why I'm on this video. I'm sure you haven't seen the title. Oh, sorry. There you go. So Ian Carroll, I highly recommend you guys to go and subscribe and watch this guy's video, because he goes over this information and it's very, very valuable information right here. Epstein's banker buddies and the 2008 collapse. For some odd reason, Epstein has something to do with the collapse that happened back in 2008. I mean, every single time you see a major event that takes place in America, somehow, some way, these people are connected to it. Even if you want to avoid them, you want to say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and look at this from a different angle. They just happen to creep up. And you're like, what the f? How? Like here too? And so, yeah, I went ahead and listened to this 31-minute video of Ian Carroll, him explaining how the banks and Epstein were working together, and somehow that led to the collapse in 2008. I was too young to know what was going on. I wasn't aware of much during 2008. I'm sure many of you guys who, have vivid memory of the collapse, I can probably tell you right now that it was a devastating collapse that happened, and it affected a lot of people's lives. So I just want to go ahead and put that out there. And now the cherry on the cherry on top, the Middle East. The Middle East is a very fascinating history. If you really want to know why America is in the position that it's in today, you have to kind of study the conflict that's been going on in this region, right? Why Sudan is in the position that it's in, why Egypt is not doing anything with the Palestinian, why Yemen is attacking any ship that is trying to make its way into the Red Sea into Israel, why the 12-day war happened, why Iraq has been destabilized, why Syria is being attacked, why Damascus is being attacked. Literally, bro, you study the history of this place, you will understand why people in Iran are saying death to America. You will understand why America attacked Yemen. The reason is because of these people right here, right there. Like I said, the video explains it very, very clearly. Right there. 7-day war. This happened 10 days right after 9/11. So they already had a plan to destabilize this whole entire region right here. When you open the news, they want to say, oh, the reason these people right here are attacking our greatest ally in the Middle East is because they hate our freedom and stuff like that. Guess what? They don't give a shit about the fact that you want two men to get married. They don't care about the fact that you want two women to get married. They don't care about none of these freedom that you have. The only reason the Middle East have such high vendetta against America is for one reason and one reason alone. America is sending bombs constantly to Israel. Israel is causing a lot of chaos in the Middle East, and these people are not happy about that. After World War II, obviously the Palestinians opened their arm to the Jews to come in and, because they're cousins. They're like, hey, nobody wants you. Why don't you come over here? We're cousins. Fast forward today, those exact cousins are now using weapons and pushing the Palestinian out to anybody who wants to accept them. And then they want to make it the world's problem, as if the world is the one that said, hey, you need to kick these people out. This is what really red-pilled me in America when it comes to the state of Israel. Like, you guys have to understand something. I have nothing against the Jews. You want to be a Jew by all means. Go ahead. I have nothing against you. I have no problem against you. I have no vendetta towards you. The problem that I have is the fact that the majority of Israelis are in favor of what's going on in Palestine. The problem that I have is the fact that our tax money is being used to completely destabilize the Middle East. Why? Because, well, God's chosen people need to defend themselves. The problem that I have, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason why when these people say they want to defend themselves, simultaneously, this is the map that they're showing the world. That's the map that they're showing the world. And they're the same people who are saying that we're trying to defend ourselves. If you don't recognize this right here, this is pretty much one of the armband of one of the IOF. And they have the map of the greater Israel right here. So one thing that, to end it off, one thing that I do want to say is this, right? See, if you look at the map of greater Israel, if you look at the map, right? I don't know, it won't click on it. All in all, if you look at the map, it's pretty much cut right here, the Nile River in Egypt, and then it goes and takes about half of Saudi Arabia, and then, Iraq, and then a little bit of Syria and Damascus and Libya and this region. It takes about all of that. And the people of Syria, the people of UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt, some people will say, why aren't these people coming to the help of, the Palestinians? Recently, there was a picture that was released of Epstein taking a picture with Mohammed bin Salman. You do what you want with that information. I mean, we understand that the Epstein list kind of exposes a lot of powerful people, which is the reason why the American presidents are always lined up to pledge allegiance to Israel. And the fact that Epstein has a picture of him with Mohammed bin Salman. I don't want to accuse the man of everything, but anybody who's associated with Epstein, I'm just like, hey, brother, come on, man. What's your kink? What you got going on in the closet? The reason Egypt hasn't done anything is because Egypt is also being bribed by America. Billions of dollars of our money is going to Egypt to make sure that, hey, all you gotta do, we'll keep giving you money. You just don't touch that. You don't touch Israel. The other ones, no, they don't really get that special treatment. Yeah. Once Israel says, hey, by the way, we need this country gone, guess what? America steps in and says, okay, because they can't bribe all of them. America cannot bribe all of them. Iran, 12-day war. You know, it's very, very sadistic what Benjamin Netanyahu did. After the 12-day war, obviously we understand that Israel was being decimated, which is the reason why they wanted peace in that region. That's why they stopped. And if you got two brain cells, you will understand that that's not the end. Israel just wanted to replenish their ammo. Recently, Benjamin Netanyahu decided to make a video with a jug of water in front of him, and then his message to the Iranians, even though he was speaking in English, right? Iran has been sanctioned by the United States of America. So a lot of the infrastructures and the water plant and all of these things are starting to break down. Iran is starting to be put in a position of, you know, they're becoming desperate is what I'm trying to say. So Benjamin Netanyahu decided to send a message to the people of Iran and say, hey, if you stand up, if you go ahead and topple your leader, guess what? We will send the best engineer when it comes to water plant into your country, and then we'll fix all your stuff. I mean, see, think about that. This guy is literally using water to blackmail the people of Iran. The most basic need to survive, he's using that. These people, they're something is wrong here. And truth of the matter is, a lot of Americans are waking up to it. Look at this video. And I'm going to end it off with that. And ladies and gentlemen, before I end this video, I just want to go ahead and show you guys the effect of October 7th. Now, many people in the United States have woken up. All right. Trust me. Even at my workplace, some people will talk about it, even though they don't make any YouTube videos. And the stuff that they tells me, I'm like, bruh, yeah, you know, they've been looking into the whole situation as well. And they're coming to the same conclusion as everybody else. It's like, yo, what's going on with this state in the Middle East? What the hell is going on with these guys? Right? So, to end it off, let's go ahead and watch this together.
You drown in debt and thousands of veterans rot on the streets of every major U.S. city. Your tax dollars have funded 70% of Israel's genocide in Gaza, and now will begin funding Israeli soldiers' retirement and health care. The House of Representatives just passed H.R. 8445, which channels American tax dollars to the Israeli Defense Force. This is on top of the $3.8 billion we already give them annually and the $22 billion we've given them in aid since the beginning of this war for nothing in return. Israel's military is getting more and better benefits than our soldiers in America, who are left to die on the streets from homelessness, opioids, and PTSD. We instead send our money to soldiers committing a genocide as we speak, and the retirement of the same soldiers that torpedoed the USS Liberty in 1966 with the sole intention of killing everyone on that ship to get America to back another one of their wars. We are subsidizing the killing of 20,000 children dead in Gaza, 12,000 of them under the age of 12. The IDF is killing one child every 45 minutes. 70,000 children are hospitalized for starvation, 4,000 amputees, and Christians in America are still bowing down to this terrorist state because they happen to live in the Holy Land. Both Democrats and Republicans passed this bill. And
to be more specific, is Zionist Christians. It's not all Christians, but it's Zionist Christian. And I made a video about that. The video is titled Why I Hate Zionist Christians. Not all Christians. Don't get me wrong. I love my brother Christians. But those who support Israel, it goes against the Bible.
only 10 members of Congress don't take money from AIPAC between the left and the right. Keep in mind, Israel already has free universal health care. Meanwhile, Americans can't afford basic necessities. Inflation in America is so crippling that what used to be our minimum wage in the 1970s would need to be $66 today to be equivalent. But our government prioritizes the interest of a foreign entity over American families being able to put food on their table. This is and always has been treason dressed up as foreign policy. So while you can't afford rent, while veterans eat out of trash cans, and while American families are crumbling under debt, your leaders are sending checks to a foreign army that slaughters children and laughs in your face. If you're not angry, you're enslaved. While you
And you know what's crazy? You're an anti-Semite for noticing that. You're an anti-Semite for saying that we should stop the genocide in the Middle East. You're an anti-Semite for saying that we should stop unaliving babies. You're an anti-Semite for saying that we should sanction Israel because they are committing war crimes in the Middle East. In conclusion, what I'm trying to say is, if you notice any crime that Israel has done, and I mean any crime, you are an anti-Semite. As a matter of fact, this video is anti-Semitic, and I would not be surprised if it gets taken down. It's the truth. Anyways, later.